Did that work? Okay, there we go. Shit, my volume was off. I was just saying the Terra on Arcanine could be really powerful here. But yeah, we see the Terra Ghost fixed. All right, so now the position looks pretty good for Bagel though. We got Roy Moon in, unintimidated with the Arcanine being under threat. So this Arcanine is probably gonna have to retreat. Although luckily for Charlotte, like Wellspring is like a really free switch in here. But I do wonder like if this Valiant is actually going to end up being faster than the Moon, because it's possible if the Moon doesn't have like max speed investment, the Valiant could be faster if it's max speed. The speed tiers are quite close. Big crit on the Moon. Valiant reveals Icy Wind, which is pretty cool. Or not crit on the Moon, crit on the Valiant. Um, Total Poison on the Moon. Burning Terror there is not ideal for Bagel now. The Moon is weak to Lando in the back, so I think this early board position heavily favors Charlotte. But Bagel will have a few more turns of Tailwind to like attempt to force some progress, so it could be difficult to get through those. But I think as it stands, it looks slightly better for Charlotte than it does for Bagel entering this late game. Actually, it's pretty interesting. I'll say if Valiant has Protect here. Um, Quarterpunk goes for Spiky Shield. Looks like Valiant just goes for the Icy Wind. That's a good heads up play. Valiant's going to go down, but you actually don't really mind that because now you get a free switch in. And if you go out into like that moon, for example, the moon will actually be faster than both of these Pokemon since they're at -2 and -1. So unless it's Scarf Kyurem, which I mean, I guess it could be, um, but a little bit unlikely. Yeah, apologies for the audio, guys. That was my bad. I unplugged my microphone earlier, which I don't even know why I did that, but I still thought it was plugged in. Arcanine comes back in here, supported by the redirection here. I mean, it's not really a clean entrance for the Arcanine, but so if you go for Follow Me here, you are going to be losing one to Freeze Dry, but you could potentially like pivot here with. Oh wait, no. Arcanine Turret, I'm stupid. But yeah, the Wellspring, yeah, is pretty threatened here. But luckily, there's a couple of switches you can make, although none of them are really foolproof, right? Because Roaring Moon will get hit by that freeze dry relatively hard as well. And then there's not really a reason for Bagel to not cudgel into the Wellspring as well, right? So uh, Gold isn't Gold can be punished in the same manner, just because the Ogre Pond is protected. Um, the best bet might be Roaring Moon. I mean, Roaring Moon's not going to really care about the freeze dry. I mean, it'll take like a solid like 50 or 60 probably, but it's not. It'll live the double up regardless of like when it's clicked, unless the Kyurem clicks Draco Meteor, in which case it'll probably die. That's an option as well. But I feel like that's just risky. I feel like Bruce Rifle's Ivy Cudgel is just extremely safe into the Ogre Pond slot. So we'll see if Big Ol goes for that. He does not. Furry Strike goes into the gold. Rock Slide is going to miss the Kyurem. That's like really annoying if you're Charlotte. That's really bad. But it's not the end of the world. Uh, Arcanine, of course, pretty threatened here. Under Tailwind, or with the Moon under Tailwind, just get a really big knock into either target. But I think this is the turn you really want to see Roaring Moon come in here. Like, at worst, you're eating a Glaciate. You should be able to live this turn, probably. And Arcanine could just protect. So that's one way to maneuver this position. Dang, it's missing that Rock Slide is really, really annoying, though. Um, that's quite tragic. So yeah, took a defensive position from Charlotte, where both Pokemon on the field here are actually like threatened out by this moon. Luckily, it looks like both of them probably have Protect, unless the Arcanine is Clear Amulet, no Protect. Would seem a bit odd. Play I kind of like here actually would maybe be to switch out to the Arcanine, because I feel like it's more telegraphed to switch out the gold. Okay, anyways, Arcanine just goes down without getting basically any value, um, which is still like maybe okay, but it's like a little bit tricky. Um, that Glaciate's actually pretty big, because now it means the Roaring Moon probably outspeeds Gold even under Gold's Tailwind. Um, which is pretty bad. Oh, depending on speed investment, like if you're like 267 times, if you're like max speed modest, you'll still get over the moon if it's not max speed. But if it's max speed, the moon should just be faster here, unless the gold is timid for some reason, which is kind of ass. Hmm. I feel like if you're staying with both there, just going for damage might have been better, because now like you had like an early lead, but now you've kind of like lost most of it. Landers can still win this game. If the gold is like somehow faster, like I said, this position is still completely fine. But uh, that was like a really good glaciate there from Bagel, setting him up for the next turn. Roman goes for Tailwind. Both Moon go for Tailwind. Pretty risky play there from Bagel. That could have gone like really badly, potentially. But it ends up working out as now like you do like forestall the Tailwind. But or the gold attacking. But Char makes a good switch in here. Wellspring comes in on a pretty solid board. Moon is also able to spam breaking swipe from Charlotte's end, so from both ends really. But Charlotte's is faster because it still has that booster intact. Just sitting at that -1 though. Moon's going to go for the breaking swipe. Does this kill the Moon? That does not. So if unless Heavy Cudgel goes, okay, so Instant gets another 3 attack off for fun. That's really annoying. Yeah, this game's over. There's no way to make progress into this team now. Losing the Arcanine and not getting that Rock Slide off was pretty bad. This just kind of ruined the game. It was a good game until that. Right. Okay, can we get one more Tailwind for fun? Is there a way back into this game? Gold pull off a miracle. Wellspring looks superpower, but that doesn't do nearly enough. I feel like you had to kill the Moon there. That's probably reading to protect, but there's not really any reason for Bagel to actually go for that. Um, this Landorus is going to have to be timid if it wants to outspeed this Kyurem, because Kyurem revealed it's faster than Arcanine, which is probably just max Jolly. Alright, who goes for knockoff? Is this Lander's going to be timid, or is it going to get jumped by the Kyurem? No, it gets jumped by the Kyurem. So yeah, now goes Lando. It's just so criminal, dodging that rock slide earlier in the game. Just ruined it. Why do we play this game, man? But yeah, Bagel was able to like really kind of overcome like a lot of early defensive, like kind of like a bit of a very defensive position to kind of get an advantage back in this game. Um, it really looked like with like the Mons at like -1 speed that it was going to be difficult for Bagel to make progress, but this Roaring Mood switch was really good. It wouldn't have been as good if Kieran had been hit by Rock Slide, but it was pretty solid. But yeah, this Rock Slide miss was just really bad. It opened up so many more options for Bagel, and it forced Charlotte to play like a lot more aggressively, and it just kind of like didn't really work out. So yeah, I don't know, kind of a frustrating spectator game. So yeah, let's move on to game two here. All right, we got a Tornado team here with Solo Kieran into a Genie's team with Yancey, Bolt, and Smeargle. The solo Kieran looks really good here for Bagel. Um, there's so much offensive pressure here. I feel like it's kind of tricky from Charlotte's end to like cover for both the to cover for both like Torn Glim lead and like Torn Kyurem lead. Because Kyurem can like heavily punish genies, which is like I feel like what you'd almost prefer to lead into the Glimmora with this team. I guess Bolt is like kind of a safe mid ground. Um, it's really interesting to have a DNC on this team. That can potentially like win this game by itself. Um, if like it gets into the right position. All right, so we see Horn Smeargle lead. All right, okay, fun. So Smeargle probably has like fake out, spore, decorate, et cetera, et cetera. I can put in like a lot of work here potentially. Although this is a good solid lead from Bagel. Like I said, you kind of cover for most things with this. Like you kind of have to like be like Genie's lead to like cover the Glim fully, but uh, with this, right, like obviously you have to cure him for that, and Cornlando's never breaking through that ever, so it's just a solid covering of the options. Um, there's a few things that Smeargle can do. I mean, Smeargle can obviously go for fake out. Fake out Tailwind's relatively safe. Hopefully these Pokemon are probably like Sash. Or Torn could be like a bulkier set. Like when we've seen this before, it's usually like bulkier Torn, so that the Smeargle's faster than this Torn and can like decorate. But we just see Tailwind Spore from Smeargle, and Glaciate's going to come out into the Kyurem from the Kyurem. Okay, so the Torn is revealed, not Cloak, so that's pretty interesting. Um, the Glaciate is really good value there for Bagel. Uh, putting that Glimmora to sleep is like relatively good for Charlotte. We see Spore from Smeargle again into Kyurem, and now DNC's in like a really excellent position because now you threaten like Decorate plus Diamond Storm, and it can get really, really dicey really, really fast if this DNC has like any kind of speed investment. Smeargle is probably still faster regardless of how fast the DNC is. -1, Smeargle's probably around like 280 speed or 180 speed. Let's see. Yeah, 180. 182. So that could be faster than DNC. I'd guess like DNC, like highest speed invest you'd run out would be like 177 or so, somewhere in there. So in that case, the Smeargle could get like a really big decorate out of the DNC, and Diamond Storm can just be clicked for like a billion damage. But we see actually that Glimmora is faster than the DNC, which is interesting. But the DNC gets the immediate defense boost, which is really nice. You do want to still be wary here of like heavy slam from hands. Glimmora takes a 3-turn sleep. That's really unfortunate for Bagel. It's probably power or meteor beam on this team. Although it could be like the Sash variant. It's hard to say. But I feel like this team is usually more offensive on the Glimmora. So you do trade T spikes going up if you're Charlotte, but if the DNC like it's difficult to imagine Bagel stopping the DNC with Terra. I think Smeargle gets another spore off. Glimmora goes for Earth Power, but Hands doesn't even burn a turn of sleep there. So this is looking pretty bad for Bagel. Um, it's hard for me to imagine him coming back from this because the DNC still has access to Terra. Although obviously like Earth Power ships are like okay, we don't even see that. It's probably just gonna be Trick Room from DNC. Now it looks like it looks kind of irrecoverable from here. If Charlotte doesn't play around a heavy slam, like that could be pretty bad. Like I'd have to imagine it's heavy slam on this team. You're so weak to DNC otherwise. But still with that DNC at +2, potentially +4 after another Diamond Storm, it's kind of unideal. It's possible like you could go like Lando here, respecting heavy slam, but it is also possible that the hands could also just be like both heavy slam or ice punch. But um, if it is just like mono heavy slam, then the Lando is like relatively safe. We'll just see Bolt come out here, which is pretty solid. How many turns of sleep did the Curib take? Just one. Uh, God, Smirtle put in a crazy performance here. I'm curious what this Bolt set is. It's probably like just like AV or something. Uh, which, like, I mean, it's not like it's really doing a whole lot to the hands, but like Draco will hurt a little bit, so could be solid. Dragon Pulse, Berry on DNC. The DNC takes really, really minimal damage there, which is kind of crazy. Interesting click. I feel like that really could have been avoided with Diamond Storm, but a Dinosaur just comes out and kills the Torn. Yeah, this is game's just we're um, they're gonna get thick out from hands back online if it can wake up, but it just looks really, really difficult. There's to Dragon. Hands doesn't even go for fake out, and that's just gonna be 2 kills. And now Kieran probably can't protect, so it's just kind of chop. Yep. So yeah, really a dominant DNC game. Uh, that just kind of wasn't the resources to beat it here from Bagel's team. So yeah, very, very interesting set so far. We'll see what happens in game three. Uh, really dominant game for Bagel game one, which honestly was closer than it looked, but uh, still, at the end of the day, like Bagel still has 6 Pokemon remaining at the end here, and then this game just like it never really looked close after those Glamora sleep turns. But it looks like the Glamora wasn't even power up either, so DNC just kind of had like a crazy matchup. Um, so let's see what happens here. All right, we got Cornerstone Snow from Charlotte, and then we got Solo Kira and Glamora PU from Bagel. So that's highly unfortunate if you're Charlotte. Um, the Cornerstone's pretty good though in this matchup. Like threatening like Kira is really nice. Threatening PU is really nice. And so that's like kind of the silver lining here. It's also possible for Gold to go into this team. If Chiyu goes down, Gold's matchup improves like dramatically. So um, we'll have to see how this plays out. It's the same 6 as the team I built, but obviously the sets could be changed. All right, we see the Gold Cornerstone lead here. Not really ideal. You don't really have a whole lot to immediately threaten the hands. But Bagel did just like reload the same team. And the Glamora did just like reveal that it's rocks, so unless he changed it between games, which would be devilish. That gives Charlotte a little bit to play off of here. There's a Landorus. Good turn one from Charlotte. Trades a lot of health on gold, but gets Lando in for 3. And gold just like breaks the sash on the Glamora there, and that's actually like really, really solid. Um, So that's kind of what you wanted to see here. You do kind of like you'd hope you could get a couple more leftovers to turns on gold, but um, it might not be possible here. But preserving that cornerstone is really important. Like it looks really incredible into like the back half of Bagel's team. So uh, definitely something to be keeping in mind. Other thing to consider, Bagel did reveal the the Chu had protect last game, which actually narrows down the sets a little bit. Um, interestingly enough, like it's obviously not Specs or Scarf there, so uh, that's actually good news for Charlotte because if it was Specs, it would probably be a lot more annoying for this team. But uh, unless the set was changed between games, it's likely not. So Lander's on a good board here. Big Sands here is threatened. We never saw what the hands moveset was last game. We did just see its Terra, um, but it could very well be Ice Punch. I feel like it should at least be Heavy Slam on this team because, like I said, they're really weak to DNC. But I don't. It wouldn't have been saved for last game. So what are you even going to do at that point? Um, all right. So there here comes Torn. Instant comes in for Charlotte. Um, you're going to pull a bunch of pivots here, but Char actually goes for a clutch sludge bomb and that actually gets a crit, and that's like really really big because uh, now that means it's in range of another one. Looks like I probably would have done about like 45-ish before. Um, and locking into Sludge Bomb there is just like really, really solid because you cover for like Terrifying Glim, which probably shouldn't be clicked there anyway, but it was a possibility. And then obviously the Torn Switch in there, so that's like huge advantage for Charlotte. Um, Instant Switch is good, although not getting the Intimidate onto the Ogre Pawn obviously is a little tragic, but it does have Fake Out Pressure here. And so it's not really possible for Torn to like safely go for an attack here because Lando is Choice Scarf. Um, yeah, Fake Out into Ogre Pawn's really safe here, but if you're Charlotte here, you're really thinking about like the next turn, right? Because double protect here is like so safe from Bagel. Uh, so we see Nine Tails and Kira double switch in here. But Bagel actually goes for Tailwind Ivy Cudgel, gets a big crit onto the Nine Tails. But it doesn't really matter because uh, well, it matters, but it's not the end of the world. Uh, really aggressive heads up play from Bagel there. It could have been like extremely heavily punished, but reading into Charlotte, reading into him protecting, so some value there, but there's really not like a whole lot to pressure the Kyurem off on this board. So it's gonna like get like a free Glaciate or Freeze Dry or Blizzard off, right? So that is something to keep in mind here for Biggle. It's probably just Blizzard here from Charlotte. I feel like Okerpon should really not be staying in here, but it is possible. Blizzard is kind of a safer click from Charlotte's end, like it's covered just covers for more options, but it looks like Ogerpon's gonna stay on the field here. Go for Ivy Cudgel into that instant um, as Blizzard comes out. It's like really big damage onto the Ogre Pawn though. Uh, and it's not minuscule damage on the Chiyu either, but it's a big Ivy Cudgel into the instant, although it keeps it comfortably. Thing is, Chiyu's kind of like dead weight on this board at the moment, unless it gets like a plot off or something. It doesn't really have a whole lot of offensive pressure into either mod. Instant again has fake out pressure. It's a little tricky to close this game out for Charlotte, though. You've taken a lot of damage on all of Gold, Ninetales, and Ensign, so that's like obviously a little bit unideal. Kyurem switch in there for Bagel. So now the Ogrepon's going to live. There's no Beads of Ruin. But it's still a solid chip onto both Pokemon. Ninetales comes out. Gold switches in here. Ninetales protects. Uh, Probably should be able to get a Veil up here. Hard to say, but I think if we find it -1, it might not be able to kill the Ninetales here. If you can get that Veil up, that would be like really critical to closing out this game. Chiyu comes out. Royal Veil goes up. Glaciate comes out. What did the gold go for? That's a really big Make It Rain. Kyurem actually hangs on though. But that getting that Veil up is really, really big. Most of Bagel's Pokemon are really heavily chipped at this point. If I'm Charlotte here, I'm leaving the Ninetales on the field and I'm clicking Encore into Chiyu. If it has it. Oh, it's just Moonblast. It's still big chip. It's a little bit difficult to imagine Bagel getting the positioning in here for this Chiyu with speed control. Charlotte getting a little bit low on timer. Needs to click pretty fast here. Double Heat Wave. Kill. That's like fine. Ogerpon still has its sturdy intact. It's pretty safe for like Ogerpon Landers to come out here and just like start clicking buttons. Although you don't really want to take. I think you want to see a U-turn lock from Landers here, and actually the U-turn out to kill that Kyurem, and then get your own Kyurem in because that'll kind of ensure better board position. But we just see Ivy Cudgel plus. Yeah, I really needed to get Kyurem in here. Although Kyurem could maybe still win, but if you like lose the Lando here, that's just like so bad. It doesn't actually do that much to Kyurem, but gets a really big burn. I think this game's over. I don't think Charlotte can beat hands. Although Lando late game can still put in some work. You turn out onto that Lando, not onto that Kyurem to kill it on this turn because it just gives you like so much better board position against Geo under Tailwind. And if you get that, you probably just win. So a slight misplay there. because you end up having to hard switch anyway, and you just like take so much damage. Lander's going to come back in as Overclock goes for Spiky Shield. Hands goes for Drain Punch. It doesn't really do a whole lot. Um, but Charlotte's going to have to get like basically every turn right from here on out to win this game. It's so tragic. You turn one again. I forgot both players slide turn. Ghost on the Landorus. Big green comes out into the Kyurem. Just hands cleans up the game. And, okay. Tricky game. I really think U-turn just won the game there. Like, there's not really much Bagel can do about that. Like, Kyurem just drops from this board, and then you get like such a better board position into Kyurem, and there's not really much Bagel can do about it. Pleasure. All right, thanks for watching. Congrats to Bagel for moving on to the finals. We'll see if he can bring home his second